Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into an important topic: Trump's proposed tariffs. We'll break it down into 4 key questions. What are tariffs? Are they inflationary? Will Trump's tariffs actually pass? And who really pays for them? Before we get into it, let's hear from Trump himself.
But it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary, tariff. It will save our country. Only stupid people don't want to use it, or corrupt people also.
So, it's clear Trump is a big fan of tariffs. He has floated the idea of a 10% tariff on all foreign imports. But what does that actually mean? Let's break it down. What are tariffs? A tariff is a tax imposed on goods imported from another country. Let's use a Toyota Camry as an example. Suppose it costs $30,000 and is manufactured outside the US. With a 10% tariff, there would be a $3,000 tax when bringing it into the US to sell. The purpose? To make foreign products more expensive so that US consumers are more likely to buy American-made goods. It also encourages foreign companies to manufacture in the US, creating jobs and investment. As Charlie Kirk explained, tariffs can force companies to shift production to the US, creating jobs. But there's a flip side. Let's talk about the cost. Are tariffs inflationary? The big question: do the pros outweigh the cons? To answer that, let's first understand competitive advantage. For example, is it more cost-effective to generate solar energy in California or Illinois? The answer is California. It has more direct sunlight. That's a competitive advantage. Similarly, some countries have advantages in manufacturing due to lower costs, supply chains, and labor. That's why 97% of the clothing Americans buy is imported. Labor costs in places like Bangladesh are as low as 87 cents an hour. Adding a 10% tariff won't revive the US clothing industry. It will just increase prices. Most of what we wear isn't made in the US for a reason it's cheaper elsewhere. And it's not just about wages. Foreign manufacturers have fewer regulations, lowering costs further. Now let's talk about Walmart. 70% of what it sells is imported. If tariffs increase prices, who really pays for them? Who pays the tariff? Trump says tariffs are a tax on foreign countries, but is that true? Let's look at how tariffs actually work. When Walmart imports a vacuum cleaner from China for $100 and sells it for $150, it makes a $50 profit. With a 10% tariff, Walmart must pay a $10 tax, reducing its profit to $40. To maintain profits, it raises the price to $160, passing the tax on to consumers. Now, you could argue that consumers can just buy American-made vacuums. But those are often much more expensive. Think $500 for a Kirby vacuum. In many cases, tariffs leave consumers paying more, without cheaper American-made alternatives. Let's take another example: smartphones. The vast majority of them, including Apple iPhones, are assembled in China. If a 10% tariff is imposed, the cost of a $1,000 iPhone could rise to $1,100. While companies like Apple might absorb some costs, a portion of the tariff will likely be passed on to consumers. That means higher prices not just on luxury items, but on everyday goods like appliances, electronics, and even food imports. How much revenue would a 10% tariff generate? In 2024, the US government collected nearly $5 trillion in taxes. A 10% tariff on all imports could generate $400 billion annually, about 8% of total tax revenue. Now, some argue that 100 years ago, 93% of federal revenue came from tariffs, and we didn't need income tax. But let's consider this: back then, federal spending was only 2.7% of GDP. Today, it's 25% of GDP. The government is much bigger, so tariffs alone won't be enough to replace income taxes. Additionally, history has shown that tariffs can lead to retaliatory measures from other countries. If the US imposes tariffs on foreign goods, trading partners like China and the European Union could respond with their own tariffs on American products, impacting industries like agriculture, manufacturing, and technology. That's exactly what happened during Trump's first term, when China imposed tariffs on US soybeans, harming American farmers. Will Trump's 10% tariff actually happen? This brings us to the final question: will Trump's 10% tariff actually be enacted? My opinion: no. Will Trump impose new tariffs? Absolutely, but they will likely be targeted, especially against China. So, what are the two most probable outcomes? Outcome 1. Trump backtracks. Trump has changed his stance before. For example, in 2021, he called Bitcoin a scam. Now he wants the US to be the crypto capital of the world. Outcome 2. Congress blocks it. Can Trump impose a 10% tariff without Congress? Not exactly. The Constitution gives tariff power to Congress, but there are exceptions if imports threaten national security, the economy, or violate trade agreements. Trump could attempt to justify tariffs under these exceptions, but Congress could challenge him. Even though Republicans control the House and Senate, they don't have 60 Senate seats. Plus, not all Republicans support tariffs, making congressional approval uncertain. Additionally, industries that rely on imports, such as the auto industry and tech companies, would likely lobby against widespread tariffs, arguing they would hurt competitiveness and increase costs. Major corporations, including Apple, Tesla, and Ford, have previously raised concerns about tariff policies impacting their bottom line. Now you know the benefits and drawbacks of tariffs. The real question: will tariffs do more good than harm? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.